Hunter, 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 what are we going to do with you? And more specifically, what are we going to do with your high-priced, high-powered lawyers who turn out to be every bit as sleazy and incompetent as the Department of Justice lawyers your dad's Attorney General rolled out to protect you? Look, this story I'm about to tell you is pretty wild. And as I watched it play out yesterday, I almost couldn't believe what I was hearing. Now, remember that whole sweetheart deal Hunter got from the feds? You know, the one that would let him skate on gun and tax charges and put an end to all those pesky legal investigations that might have seen Hunter's foreign influence peddling traced back to his dad, a.k.a. the president, a.k.a. the big guy who was getting 10% at least of all this activity? Activity that was so lucrative that it generated a 7-figure tax bill, which Hunter could have gotten away with just simply not paying? But bow, it's gone. Or at least put on the sort of hold normally reserved for people trying to get through to change their reservation with Qantas. It seems the judge who was looking at this plea deal, Mary Ellen Noreika, took one look at the absolute nonsense that was being proposed and said, no way. And good on her. The fact that she saw what was happening and had the courage to say stop is a great credit not just to her, but also the resilience of the rather battered American justice system, where, if you're a Biden at least, the fix is, generally speaking, comprehensively in. Only this time, it wasn't. You see, it came out in the plea bargain hearing that what was proposed for Hunter was not just something that would get him off the hook for all the stupid crimes we do know about. The deal was also going to protect him from any investigation ever into anything he'd ever done in the past, in perpetuity. Now, an analysis of the transcripts, sadly cameras were not allowed in the courtroom, of the hearing reveals that Hunter's lawyers essentially tried to bury the immunity clause that he was being offered, which had been negotiated with the Department of Justice, and I put that word in quotes. This was done to keep Judge Noreika from getting wise to the deal. Not only that, they had worded this immunity clause in such a way that the judge would be powerless to reject it. Well, guess what? She was too clever for them, and she did. She blew the whole thing up, and Hunter Biden's plea deal is now suspended until everyone goes back to the drawing board. Going through the transcript of the hearing, it turns out what Hunter's lawyers and the Department of Justice tried on here was absolutely incredible. The judge asked the prosecutor not once but 5 times if there was any precedent for this sweetest of sweetheart deals that was so sugary that if it was a snack food, it would be endorsed by Lizzo. She said she had never seen a deal with this sort of, quote, not to prosecute, lifetime get-out-of-jail-free clause in it. And she even questioned its constitutionality. But guess what? There's actually more to this. And I mean, this shows how absolutely sleazy Team Biden is. According to the judge, someone, apparently from Hunter's legal team, called up the court and pretended to be someone else, asking that a friend of the court brief, an amicus brief as they're known, that had more damning information on Hunter, be pulled from the file on spurious grounds that it contained confidential information. That lawyer and her firm are now facing the possibility of legal sanctions. Quote, it appears that the caller misrepresented her identity and who she worked for in an attempt to improperly convince the clerk's office to remove the amicus materials from the docket, Noreika said. Yikes. But look, gotta say, does any of this really surprise you? I mean, come on. We're talking about the Bidens, a family whose patriarch made his entire career lying about absolutely everything, from his law school career to his claims to have been descended from coal miners to God knows what else. Frankly, Corn Pop is more trustworthy. Remember that guy? Whatever happened to him? And speaking of lies, here's Biden back in 2020 talking about his son's legal trouble.
Mr. Biden, if I can,
Sure.
Questions and controversy continues today about Hunter Biden, your son's.
There is no controversy about my
overseer
son.
dealing.
It's
Just
all a
questions.
lie. It's a flat lie because the president has nothing else to run on. If you notice, while American people are talking about what's happening to their families, he has no plan. In the debate, he has no plan. Everything from the Wall Street Journal, every other major news outlet has said what he's saying is simply not true.
Pretty fired up there, the big guy. And naturally, the Democrats and their handmaidens in the press are having a harder time coping. CNN had an absolute meltdown over all this, asking, what just happened?
Someone made a bad mistake here. Am I wrong looking at this, saying that these someone, whether it be Hunter Biden's defense or prosecutors here,
how could there be such a big miscommunication?
I cannot even begin to explain how the Justice Department walks into that courtroom without knowing exactly what the scope of immunity or coverage is for Hunter Biden.